Hi sweet friends! Today I am so excited to sit down and chat with you all things Disney, talk to you all about our Disney vacation. I asked over on my Instagram if you had any questions about going to Disney, taking your toddler or your baby to Disney, and so let's sit down and let's just chat all things Disney. I'm not even going to apologize for how long this video is going to be. I am definitely going to break it up into 2 parts, maybe even 3. Grab your favorite Disney mug, put on your favorite Disney shirt, and let's feel the magic for a moment. Let's pretend that we are strolling down Main Street, maybe going down one of those side walkways, sitting in a bench and just chatting about Disney. I love Disney so much. So if you're brand new here, if you just stumbled upon this video, we just got back, me, my husband's parents, and our 2 sons, Hugo and Theodore. Hugo's almost 4, Theodore's 15 months old. We just got back from a week in Disney. We took Hugo when he was 15 months old on a Disney cruise, but this was the first time that we did the parks with the boys, and oh my gosh, it is so incredibly different than going without kids. Like, it sounds obvious, but until you experience it, if you are a seasoned Disney goer, vacationer, then you probably know the ins and outs of going on a vacation, on a Disney vacation, but going with kids is a completely different story. So let's open up those questions that you guys asked on my Instagram. Let's see what we got here. How did you establish a good meal and nap schedule on vacation? So if you know me and you watch my regular vlogs, then you'll know that when we are home, we are on a very strict schedule. I keep the boys on a very strict schedule, their nap times, their bedtimes, their meal times, all that good stuff. When we were in Disney, I threw it all out the window, and that was what worked best for our family. I just figured, like, these days are gonna be so long, so jam-packed. I adhered to the they'll sleep when they want to sleep motto, and that's exactly what they did, which was great. We brought our, and this is another question I got, and I'll probably be repeating myself a few times, stroller recommendations. We brought our City Jogger, is it Baby Jogger City Mini all-terrain double stroller. I think that's what it's called. I'll write it down here. I'll also link it down below. It was wonderful. If you have kids, I would say it's a must to have a stroller if you have kids under, I would say 4, but I would bring a stroller up until my kids were like 6 years old, because it just worked as the central hub for all of us, like for all of our stuff. It was an absolute necessity to have. We brought our own stroller. There are so many, I know Kingdom Strollers, I think, is one. There are so many different stroller rental companies down in Orlando. So if you didn't want to bring your own stroller, you could have one delivered to the resort, or I don't know if they do airplane pickup, but we love our stroller. Our double stroller was an absolute godsend on this vacation, and for us too, like going through the airports and stuff with both of the kids, like it just was perfect because we could strap them both down, we could throw our carry-on bags onto the stroller, under the stroller. It was perfect for the airport and just keeping everything contained. And then at the parks, same exact thing. And also at the parks, I found that, like, when they needed to nap, they could really comfortably, and they felt like really comfortable in the stroller. So in terms of nap and meals and all that stuff, like we had dining reservations. Really, the dining reservation system is so cutthroat. It's so hard to get like the dining that you want, the times you want. So really you kind of get what you get. And then for us, we built our day around that. So our Hollywood Studios day, we had an 8:30 a.m. character breakfast. So the kids woke up. We did bring some of their favorite foods down with us, as well as we Instacarted some stuff. And that is a huge tip I would give, is that if you have toddlers who are picky eaters, or you know that they only like a particular snack, or they have the same thing for breakfast every day, or there's a particular milk that they need, either Amazon Fresh, or Instacart, Amazon, or Whole Foods, like get those groceries delivered to your resort because you can, and it makes life so much easier. And that's what we did. We there were these particular Abe's muffins that the kids really like. Also, we're vegan. I don't know, in case you're brand new and you didn't know, we're vegan. There are these particular Abe's muffins that the boys really like, and that they have them for breakfast every morning. And so I couldn't find those on Instacart or anything. And so before we went, I looked through, and so we ended up bringing those down with us. And then when we got down there, I put in an order for Instacart from Target and got Theodore's Ripple Milk delivered, some raspberries, like the little Once Upon a Farm packets, which were great, chips, all the snacks that the boys love, all that stuff. So in terms of like snack foods, that was pretty consistent and familiar to them, which was great, because beyond that, Hugo's a very picky eater, and seldom were there things that he actually ate when we did sit down dining. We just sort of built our day around that. And then sleepy cues, right? Like, so normally when you're at home with your kids, you know when they start getting tired. You can see it in their faces, and especially so at Disney, right? Like, everything is amplified by 1,000, especially for little kids. It's like sensory overload, especially for little kids who are just coming out of the pandemic, you know, being home for 2 years. And so for them, it was such an overwhelming experience. It was actually really easy to realize like when they were tired and when they needed a nap. And when they did, just put them down in the stroller. We walked around, and they fell asleep pretty quickly, to be honest. And so that's what we did for naps. And by the end of the day, both the boys were so exhausted that by the time we got back to the resort, like, they both just conked out. But that was what we did for naps and stuff, naps and meals. It was very on the fly, on the go. And it was kind of nice from my perspective to just be like, all right, we're gonna take this moment by moment, and I'm not gonna stress about it. And like, the boys were absolutely fine. It's crazy how adaptable little kids are. It really is amazing. Stroller recommendations, the one that we have, we loved. Favorite places for you and your family to eat at Disney. So let's keep chatting about food. Let me just say off the top that all of the food that we had at Disney World was spectacular. And as a vegan, that is not something that I say often when we travel or when we go to restaurants in general, because normally if you're going to a restaurant that doesn't specialize in vegan food, it tends to be like pretty basic and pretty bland. And not that, like, I mean, it just, you didn't know. I didn't know going to Disney, like, what was the vegan food gonna be like? And let me tell you, it was amazing. I know that being vegan isn't an allergy, but they include it on the allergy menu, and their allergy menu looked so just so good and was very extensive. They had a lot of different things to choose from, and it was so great. So some of the highlights were the Hollywood and Vine character breakfast, the Disney Junior breakfast that we did was so great. So they had a vegan frittata for us and Mickey waffles that were vegan, and they also brought out fruit and potatoes, and like, that breakfast was so good, like so good. I was so shocked. And then where else? Jeff and I ate at Les Celliers at the Canada Pavilion in Epcot, and that was so good. Oh my gosh. So we got the little chorizo meatballs as an appetizer. Guys, when I say those were like the best appetizer that I think I've ever eaten in my entire life, it was incredible. It was on like a corn succotash with a vegan cheese, and it was spectacular, out of this world amazing. And then they also had a bread basket for us at Les Celliers, and they had these pretzel buns that were, Jeff and I just like, we couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe how delicious they were. They also brought us out Earth Balance, which is a vegan butter, a butter substitute, and it was spectacular. And then we got the dumplings for dinner. Those weren't quite as good as, like, the appetizer was just so out of this world, and the bread basket was just so out of this world. I also got a drink that was amazing. That, like, the dinner was a little lackluster in comparison, but overall, it was fantastic. We also ate at Chef Mickey's at the Contemporary Resort. That was another character breakfast that we did, and that breakfast was great. It was a tofu scramble, potatoes and fruit and Mickey waffles. Can't go wrong with some Mickey waffles, I'm telling you right now, so good. We also got a vegan sausage from Casey's Corner the night that we stayed to see the fireworks show at Magic Kingdom, and that was so good. I was really not expecting that to be so great. It was a vegan sausage, like a vegan hot dog with corn and coleslaw, vegan coleslaw, and like a spicy aioli. It was so good, guys. Shocked. Also, we went to Yak and Yeti for dinner at Animal Kingdom, and I got their Beyond Burger. That was so great. Like, every place we ate was so fantastic. I'm trying now to also do like a run in my head of any other places that we ate. Oh my gosh, how did I forget this? Guys, Rose and Crown at the UK Pavilion in Epcot, we got their vegan fish and chips, which from that, you know, that might sound disgusting. Vegan fish, like those two words never sound good together. But let me tell you, it was so good. It was so good. Even just thinking about it makes my heart explode. Like, delicious. The fry on the outside of the vegan cutlets, fish cutlets, was so flaky and light and airy and delicious and crunchy. Like, just anything. When you think of ideal crispy fried fish, it was exactly that. It was delicious. And then the french fries were spectacular. Like that, we actually ended up going to Rose and Crown twice. We went for lunch one day when we got the fish and chips, and it was so good. And then the next day we had a reservation for dinner, and a few people, Jeff and my mother-in-law, ended up getting their vegan. They have a vegan, almost like a pot pie sort of thing with gravy and, oh no, I'm sorry. It wasn't the pot pie they got. They got bangers and mash. So they got mashed potatoes with gravy and Beyond Meat sausages. The potatoes and the gravy were not good. That, of all the things we ate at Disney, those were the only things I'll say that were just like not good, kind of gross. The gravy was like sweet. It wasn't good. So I would not order that. But the fish and chips that I got both days were spectacular, out of this world, and so good. Let me jump to the next question. I could talk about food forever because I was just so blown away by the vegan options they had. What rides and activities did you do with your kids? My kids are about the same age. So we were able to do almost everything with the boys. Hugo obviously could do more than Theodore. We did all the storybook rides with Theodore, so all of the rides that you just like sit in a little moving vehicle and just move through. Like we did Winnie the Pooh with Theodore. We did we didn't do Remy. We didn't do Remy with either of the boys, actually. Hugo didn't want to do it. When we told him that you shrink down to be the size of a mouse, he, like, that freaked him out. So he didn't end up doing that, and Theodore didn't do that. But all the other storybook rides, and we did all the 3D movies with both of the boys. Theodore didn't wear 3D glasses, but like he was still there. I'll be honest, Theodore is not like, he's not easily impressed. He's also very like wary of most things. So he enjoyed everything. He did Peter Pan's Flight, but he wasn't boiled over by anything. Is that the expression? Also, he's 15 months old, so like he didn't really, I think it was all like sensory overload. We also did Haunted Mansion with both the boys. Both the boys loved it. It was not an issue with either. We did Pirates of the Caribbean with both. Hugo was able to do the roller coasters. He was tall enough. Don't ask me specifics on like which rides with height wise, because I'm not sure, but I know Disney lists all of that. But Hugo was able to do the Barnstormer. He was able to do Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. He rode Seven Dwarfs Mine Train 3 times. He loved it so much. He loved it so much that actually the second time he rode it, he started crying, and a cast member saw him crying and asked like, oh, was that too scary? And he said no, he just loved it so much that they actually, such Disney magic, they let him ride it again. Can you even? Like, he loves roller coasters. He loves going fast. He loved the Barnstormer. He did Soarin'. He loved that. So if your kid can ride those more sort of adrenaline and intense rides, if they're the correct height, then might as well try it, right? It's there, and there are different degrees. Like, you know, the Barnstormer and Mine Train are both pretty intense roller coasters, but they're not like, you know, we're not talking about like the Hulk coaster at Universal or something. It's not that intense. It's definitely kid friendly, and both of the boys loved the little playground at Animal Kingdom, the dinosaur playground excavation dig site. Look into that if you're going with little kids. It is so fun. It's a huge playground. It can get kind of busy, so I recommend either going at the beginning of the day or like around dinner time. It's huge, and the floor is that sort of like spongy material, so it's not, if it's not concrete, it's not rock. And then in that little playground area, it connects to a little dig site, which is so cute. It's like a huge sandbox essentially, but they're little rocks. There's a bunch of pails, a bunch of shovels, and your little kids can dig. And like Hugo loved it. He loved it. So in terms of activities, like those were our huge highlights. Question, baby girl's almost 1. Do you think that's too young to be worth it? What age is good? So that was that's a question I often get. It's tricky. If your kid is almost 1, or in that sort of like, I would say maybe 2 and under, I think we're all aware that like they're not going to remember the trip necessarily. I mean, maybe some kids do. When we took Hugo on a Disney cruise when he was 15 months old, I said in those videos that like he wouldn't remember it, and the trip wasn't necessarily for him in that regard. Like, it was more for us and the memories that we were making as a family, and like we took lots of pictures and I vlogged it, and he had a great time. It really depends on like what you're going for. If you want to go so that your kids can make memories that they will remember, and you want them to be able to talk to the characters and like see things that they recognize, and like, then I would say that obviously 1 might be a little bit early. But we still, like, we had a great vacation with Theodore, and we had a great Disney cruise with Hugo, and like, I wouldn't trade those memories for anything. And so it really depends. Like, it really depends on you and like the type of vacation you want to have. And if you're Disney people, like we're Disney people, obviously, we know that like Disney will always be a priority in our lives, and like we'll always go. Like, that's such a privileged thing to say, but like, we'll always try our best to be able to go at least, you know, once every couple years. And if you prioritize Disney in that way, then sure, like, why not start going when they're 1? Because it's so fun. Like, it's a blast. And I think you can find something for anyone of any age at Disney. Yeah, I hope that sort of answers that question. I'm gonna answer 1 more and then I'll stop this video, and we'll cut to part 2. Did you do the Disney meal plan? If so, do you recommend? Oh, and I'm sorry, let me just cut back for a second. What age do I think is good? Hugo had a blast. Like, I think if you're looking for an ideal age to bring your little one, 3 or 4 years old is like amazing, because they recognize all the characters, they've watched all the TV shows, they can interact with the characters, they can talk to you, they can tell you when they're hungry, they can tell you when they need to go to the bathroom, they can eat different foods. Like, it's just easier in that regard than taking, like, you know, a baby. Like with Theodore, he's a baby, and it was, you know, like, we had to figure out getting his milk and like sound machine and like all that type of stuff that makes it just a little trickier. So I hope that sort of answers that question. Did we do the Disney meal plan? If so, do you recommend? I've actually never done the Disney meal plan, but I do have friends who have done it and who really love it. I think it's just a different approach to dining at Disney, and it's, for me as someone who's never done it, like, it seems very complicated, but I think once you get the hang of it, like, it's a system like anything else at Disney, right? Like, from the outside looking in, Disney, putting together a Disney vacation is so complicated and there's so much to do, but once you get it and once you do your research and like once you're in it, you're like, oh, okay, like I know this, like I know the move and the groove of this. So yeah, I would definitely, I am not a good resource for that. Don't know all that much about the Disney dining plan, but I know, like, we watch Disney Food Blog all the time. We love that channel. So definitely check out, I'm sure they have a whole slew of videos on the Disney dining plan, so definitely check those out. All right, guys, I'm going to finish this video here so that it's not super long, and we will continue answering all these questions in part 2. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye.